How's it, South Africans and people of the world? My name is Amahle-Imvelo, and this is my podcast, Jacks of All Trades, where we speak about everything from politics to pop culture, skills to people's stories, because every jote is a goat in the making.
Please, stop sending me that Amahle Jacks video. I urge you, please stop sending it to me.
So today's episode is titled Subscribe to Life, the Digital Takeover, right? And essentially the question I'm asking today is, do we own anything anymore? Or are we just, renting our lives, living on debit orders and just kind of vibing out, right? And I'm gonna get into what inspired this episode in the Jacks part, but if the reality is that this is how this came about. My phone says to me, I need more storage. I am sitting on already paying 2 terabytes of cloud storage, whatever a cloud is, right? And in my mind, I'm like, what more? Because my phone in 2016, for example, didn't even need this cloud. When you said it's 256 gigabytes, those 256 gigabytes made sense. But all of a sudden now we have to buy more storage, right? And this kind of frustrated me. And I thought to myself, why is this happening? Why are we so subscribed to so many things? So today we're not talking politics. Like I said, sometimes it's pop culture, sometimes it's current events, sometimes it's just things, that plague my mind. So what's the jackpot, which is when I kind of let you know why I decided on this episode. It kind of landed on me because I've realized that the internet has almost changed the game, right? Streaming sites are replacing, movie companies, content creators are becoming CEOs. I'm not mad at that. I'm a content creator. But essentially you've got, the internet and social media ruling everything, right? But at the same time, there's almost this realization that the digital takeover isn't coming anymore. It has officially arrived. Now, every episode we do a little fun fact. And so this fun fact today is that the average person has 7 to 10 digital subscriptions, right? I'm going to count mine for you. I have Netflix, I have Disney, I have Showmax. I have Canva, I have CapCut. I have Calm, which is a meditation app. I have, obviously, iTunes or Apple Music. I have Spotify. What else? I know I'm missing some. But essentially, of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head, I'm sitting on 8. 8 subscriptions, right? And I come from the era, here's the other one, Microsoft. Every year, I have to pay Microsoft some money to use Microsoft Word and Excel. I don't even understand how Excel works, but apparently I need to have it. And I come from the era where, you walked into a computer shop, all right? And that computer shop was quite literally just for computers. And you walked in there and you bought the program and you put it into your CPU. Those of you who are old enough will get it. There was a whole other device. Your computer was in 4 parts. And you put it in the CPU and you download it and then you own it for life. That's it. And then when when internet connections started coming a thing, I don't know if you guys remember the dial-up, and your thing would dial up before you'd get the internet. All you would then do once you've bought your Microsoft is instead of buying a new one, you would just upgrade the one that you already have. So essentially you're only buying this program once, but that's changed now, right? My brother's on my family Apple and he pays something like 29 Rand 99 every month for Microsoft Word. I'm upset at him, because why didn't you tell me? Because I would have just put you on my very own one, but that's siblings, younger brothers, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, this topic is also interesting for me because I remember seeing this tweet and someone was like, I can't believe we have to subscribe for our cars now. And I was like, what do you mean? And this guy was like, check out what Audi's doing. So obviously I checked it out because I love information. And Audi has what you call Audi Connect, right? Where you can essentially connect to or subscribe to basic services like remote locking, navigation enhancements, and functions on demand where you can activate certain features post-purchase. Whatever happened to buying the car and then I'm done with you, Mercedes-Benz. I'm done with you. I never have to see you again. I bring it in for service and then I'm done. So now I'm subscribing to things for vehicles as well, which is so insane to me. And so I also remember that tweet kind of frustrating me and me kind of wanting to dig a little bit deeper into, this topic. So this next segment is called From Owning to Owing, right? And let's start with the history. Subscriptions aren't new, okay? There was a time when people would subscribe to, you guys know I love a notebook, so don't even judge me. There was a time you would subscribe to like multi-volume encyclopedias, right? And if you're wondering why, I love a fun fact and I know so much. We had the full Britannica encyclopedias at home and I didn't have many friends. And so I would sit and read. This is a little bit sad. I would sit and read the encyclopedia, and that's why I love fun facts and facts about a variety of things. There was a year where I spent like 2 months, and every day I would upload a fun shark fact. Those of you who were there remember. Anyway, and so, yeah, this is not the first time, right? So in the 1600s, we begin with subscriptions, begin with book publishing. So your encyclopedias, your journals, etc., right? You get to the 1900s and it's magazines that you can subscribe to, record clubs, medicine refills. Then you get to 1997 and Netflix launches DVD subscriptions, right? I don't know if you guys remember, but that was a really good time, but also a really bleak time. Because if it was Friday and you got to the video place, what was our one called again in South Africa? Mr. Video. And you got to Mr. Video, and then they're already telling you the movie that you wanted is out. Mate, they only had 2 DVDs maybe on rotation. So Netflix obviously sees this opportunity and launches DVD subscriptions. Then we get to the 2000s where you get the iTunes revolution, where you pay for songs, right, to be on your iPod. And now we're in the 2010s where we have what is SaaS, right, software as service. So streaming platforms, cloud storage, and even dating apps, right? And then I also want to tell you about what else inspired this episode, right? So I took a class last year and it was called International Relations and Media. And my lecturer is phenomenal. He also has a podcast. So if you're watching this, thank you for inspiring me. And we were learning about this concept of postmodernity, right? I think give me a second. I have the notes here. Because I keep every notebook. I have notebooks from 2015, right? So essentially we were learning about like the history of media, right? From newspapers to magazines to getting to this part of like podcasts and stuff like that. Give me a second. I'm going to find it. And it's going to be great. Block 1. Block 2. There it is. So in this, this is like week 2 of what we're studying, right? And so we're learning about, okay, we move from newspapers and then we move to radio and broadcasting and sound pictures and so on and the evolution. And then we get to this part where in my textbook, quite literally, because I write my notes by hand also, in my textbook it speaks about post-modernity, right? And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's essentially in the 1960s, the economic mode of production shifted from commodity-based manufacturing to information-based services, right? So it's this idea that we move from buying physical CDs to now getting our music on streaming platforms, right? And so modernity was all about progress and structure and owning things, right? You own your car, you own your house, you own your CD, your record player, your books. I still buy books. Anyway, and then we move into this post-modernity era, which is all about fluidity over stability, for example, which is about experience over ownership, access over permanence, relativism over universal truths. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that, right? So when we're talking about fluidity over stability, think about how our parents would move to a city, they would get married, and they would just stay there. There was like no like, oh, I'm changing jobs, I'm changing locations. That rarely happened in the era of our parents, but nowadays people are like putting their stuff in storage and moving countries because they don't like the country that they live in, and changing jobs. Like, oh, I was a strategist. Actually, let me use me as an example. Oh, I studied politics. Then I created an events business. Now I'm a podcaster. So that's this idea of fluidity over stability. It's how, we have this fluidity even in how we dress. We can go from gothic one day to rich auntie the next day to athleisure to streetwear. And that's kind of, the kind of world that we live in. So this idea that is postmodernity era is an era where you don't have to commit to one identity, right? And then when we're speaking about access over permanence, we're speaking about and my friends know this, I'm talking about you. I'm not going to name and shame you. I've done it enough on my Instagram. But I have too many friends who can afford a car but still choose to Uber. That's the idea of access over permanence, right? It's people spending more on experience over buying assets, right? It's this idea that you want options, not obligations. One day you want to be in an Uber Black. Then the next month you're probably going to be in an Uber Go, because you can't Uber Black everywhere unless you're rich. Cool. So, and then we move over to experience over ownership, right? So instead of saving to buy a house, people are booking flights. They're choosing experiences. Like, I don't have a house. My mom asks me every time she sees me, when are you going to buy a house? And I've told her respectfully, when you die. I am waiting to inherit my mother's house. Like, what? Why am I going to put myself in debt for 20 years when I can just wait for her to just kick the bucket? But she's so healthy. I'm probably not going to have a house until I'm 45 or something stupid like that. But yeah, it's this idea that this generation, or in this postmodernity era, we are essentially investing in memories and experiences, etc., etc. And then when I speak about relativism versus universal truths, I'm speaking about how there's no single blueprint for success anymore, right? There was this idea that you go to your school, you get your degree, you get your job, you buy your house, you get married, you buy your house, you have your 2.4 kids, 2-car garage, Bob's your uncle, life's done, it's easy. You go on holidays, on timeshare, that's it. But now there's no blueprint for success anymore, right? Some people are getting married and buying properties and having kids, while others are living, with roommates, traveling, no kids. It's me. I'm not shading moms or anything like that. I don't believe in that. Everyone has their own choice. I'm just saying I'm not ready. Okay. And so essentially relativism over universal truths is this idea that it's this realization that there's not a one size fits all to life as there was back in the day. So just to kind of summarize what I've been saying to this is that, modern capitalism in the beginning was you buy things and then you own them. Okay. And then postmodernism or postmodernity capitalism is you pay for access, but not ownership. Right? And you might be then asking yourself, so why are we living in this life? And that's because it's good business, right? We live in a capitalistic world. Brands love this because they have looked at how predictable the revenue is. And think about the Microsoft example that I used, right? My mother bought Microsoft once. That was it. She's now out of that market for software, right? Whereas today, I am renewing my Microsoft subscription every single year, right? And what that means is that there is a constant, predictable revenue stream for brands like a Netflix, an Amazon, or whatever the case may be. And what that does, it then attracts investors. And that's why you have these companies that are billions and billions worth billions and billions of dollars, even though the money really isn't there. The only company that I know has the cash flow to back it up, that's this guy, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs got cash because Steve Jobs is still selling products. It's watch, it's laptop, it's AirPods, it's phone. He's got me in a chokehold. I won't even lie to you. There's an Apple TV around the corner there. So he at least has assets that he's buying, and that's why he has so much cash on hand. R.I.P. Steve, we miss you. Because they're playing around with your company now. Your time, it's almost up. Anyway, so essentially what currently happens is that you don't even realize that like you have all these micropayments when you're subscribed to the digital life, right? So think about like a 49 Rand a month payment. That's nothing. That's $50 in your mind. That's nothing for some people. Let me be politically correct. I'm sorry. $50 means a lot to some people. But you then don't realize that at the end of the year, you've now spent 1,800 Rand on one subscription. How many subscriptions did we say the average person has? 7 to 10. I'm sitting on 8 that I can remember. So essentially, what's happening is essentially this idea that modern capitalism, that before 1960s era, that you were sold stuff, and you owned that stuff. Postmodern capitalism lets you borrow the stuff under the illusion that you own it. Because we're also under this weird, how do I explain it? Weird era of like, I don't know about you, but one of my biggest fears is, what if the internet tumas? I have nothing. All I have is books. I can't go anywhere because I haven't learned directions, Google Maps. I can't listen to music. Thanks, Spotify, iTunes. I keep pulling it at iTunes because I'm a millennial. It's Apple Music, I know. What else? I can't watch anything. I mean, I pay for my TV license, so at least I'd still have SABC. But like, I can't watch anything. People who buy Kindles, do you see all these books? That's why I have books, because you won't catch me. If the world is coming to an end, first and foremost, I'd like to be the first one to go. I don't have an insane world to live. But if I do live, I'd love to have a book to read. So yeah, like our phones, dude, like even something as simple as banking is digital. One of the banking apps that I used was down the other day, and I was at the grocery store. And so I didn't know if I could move money or which card had enough money. And now I'm looking at this cashier and I'm already over explaining, Siswam, sorry, I'm just not sure which card has money. Do you get me? This digital world is also so scary at the same time. Like, we don't own anything. It's almost as if it's illusions. So we went from homes to Airbnb. You won't catch me in an Airbnb though. You won't catch me anymore. I've decided, that if I'm going on holiday, I don't want to make my bed. I don't want to make my bed. I don't want to cook a damn thing. I want to go downstairs and enjoy a buffet. So I'm a hotel girly. But yeah, we've also gone from like cars to Uber, actual CDs to Spotify. I remember the first CD that I ever bought. Do I? It was a Marshall. It was Eminem. That's my favorite rapper. It was Eminem. But I remember the CD that made me like fight with my mom over a month. It was Usher Confessions. And I lived in a small town called Queenstown, Gomani. So our musica didn't get music immediately. And to my Gen Zs, how we knew how to buy a CD, you would go into the store called Musica. I think it's since closed down. They had like headphones like this and like a little thing. And then you would pick the CD that you'd like to listen to, and you would stand there. Let's say the CD is an hour long, and you would stand there for an hour and you would bump it. And then you would make the decision if you're willing to part with your pocket money or not. And I remember like with Confessions, I'd been telling my mom like, yo, we need to be the first at Musica. So it's like, oh my dog, like they probably only going to send us like 5. And my mom was working. Shout out to her, because I mean, I guess this is why I have what I have. Shout outs. I appreciate you. Nozi with the fun facts. That's what one of my friends calls my mom. Anyway, and I didn't get the Confession CD because it was sold out. And I was bleak. And I had to wait like 3 weeks. And I had already told everyone that I'm going to have Usher's latest CD. And then I got to school and guess what? No Usher CD. And another fun memory I have of CDs is my dad was a big music lover. And my dad introduced me to hip hop. And I remember this one day he came back from work, and I would come visit him here in Joburg because him and my mom weren't married. But why am I telling you about my family? And so when I would come visit, and I remember him like taking his work bag and doing this, and in it was like a Lil Wayne CD. I remember there was Chicken and Beer by Ludacris. There was a Black Eyed Peas CD. He loved the Black Eyed Peas. And so there was also almost this like bond that you had with your parents and your family when it came to this whole CD thing, because you all had to listen to the same music at the same time. The car can only play one thing. Your phone doesn't, you don't even have a phone. What am I saying? If you do have a phone, you're playing Snake. That's all you're doing. You're playing Snake and you're texting some boy you're probably not supposed to be texting. Even house phones. I think it's crazy that like you would call and maybe someone's mom's answers and you have to be like, hi man, no. And if that mom was not feeling you as a friend, guess what? You're not talking to your friend that night. That's it. It's that simple. So yeah, it's a crazy space that we live in, you know. Like I said to you in the beginning, like this whole idea of things being in the cloud and, you know, memory space moving from like from like actual having hard drives, which I still do because I back everything up, to having Google Drive or iCloud or whatever. And the reality is that ownership has been replaced by access culture. So in other words, you don't own the thing, you rent the experience. Those are bars. Hold on. Bars. So yeah, I mean, we're in this world where modern capitalism has kind of just sold you stuff, bro. And we're all living in an illusion. And if someone cuts those wires underneath the sea, or something happens to those satellites in space, we are all doomed. But that wasn't the point of this episode. I was just interested, you know, and I think I'm very interested in you, you know, first of all, for you to like, share, subscribe to my podcast, and then to kind of like give me your comments on, you know, how you feel about this modern world. And, you know, we always have a fun segment. I love how I keep saying we. Like I'm not the only person in this podcast. Like there's no we, it's just me. But anyway, the fun segment is canceled for this episode. We're going philosophical. That's not how you pronounce it. Hold on, let me find the English. Philosophical. There it is. So this is the deep stuff. Okay, I'm going to tell you some deep stuff about this world that we live in. Number one, we're leasing our lives. That's from social media to clouds to music. We're leasing everything. We don't own anything. Number two, photos, passwords, music, designs, tools are all trapped in an ecosystem you don't own. Think about it. The third one would be when your Wi-Fi goes, your whole life pauses. And I think I've spoken briefly about this. The fourth one is the line between consumer and product has blurred. We are both the consumers and the product, if you think about social media. But that is an episode all on its own. Otherwise we'll never be finished. How far am I? Come on, still within time. And lastly, I think this is the deepest one of all. We're the customer, the product, and the prisoner all at once. And that's scary. So yeah, to wrap up this wonderful episode of mine, we're leasing our, I already said that. Girl, get it together. Oh, by the way, when it comes to my podcast, I'm not aiming for perfection. We're going to make a lot of mistakes, okay? We're just going to repeat things. I'm still learning as much as you're learning. So when I make a mistake or I say something wrong, don't worry. I'm not worried. Everybody cool. Like, yeah. We just try it again. That's it. So yeah, subscription culture is convenient. This is me wrapping it up now. But it's a bit exploitative. You know, we've replaced permanence with platform dependency, and capitalism hasn't stopped innovating, as I'm sure we all know. It just got a little bit sneakier with how it's making its money. So my question to you, and you will let me know in the comments, and don't forget to use the hashtag you're a jote, because you are, is what's the one thing you'll always own, no matter how digital the world gets? For me, it's books. I stopped drinking this year, and everyone keeps saying to me, like, oh, you must have so much money saved up. Have you ever heard of a shop called Exclusive Books? And have you seen how much those books cost? But I'm not a Kindle person. I'll never. You won't convince me. I like the smell of a book. I like bending its spine, whatever. So yeah, you'll let me know, what's the one thing that you'll never get rid of. And then I also want to know, what's the dumbest subscription you've ever paid for? I'm trying to think, what's my one? Yeah, I don't play those games. I think the only thing that captured me once and almost ruined my relationship that I was in at the time was Candy Crush. I was very addicted to Candy Crush. I still am. I won't even lie to you. I'm on crazy levels. Also, right now, I think I'm on a 104 win streak. Anyway, they just exclaimed, like, what? I'm going to show you after this. Yeah, guys. So next week, we'll probably go back to something political. But I thought maybe let's just take a break and just actually have an engaging conversation this week. So yeah, don't forget, this is the end of the episode. Every joke is a goat in the making. Have an absolutely super, super, super day. And always remember that it's great to be a South African. Amandla.